in a couple of the different reflections given in this book by others on St. John Paul II's words, particularly those by Bill Donaghy and by Donnie McManus, there's reflections on the experience of being a visual artist and drawing from nude models and the way that you have to
Yes.
train yourself to see. And I thought that was very
Yes.
interesting. And that's something I've always wondered about, that, for example, who's the David Clayton? You probably know him.
Yes, I know
I
David
think he
Clayton very
teaches.
well.
He's argued against the use of nude models, I believe, on his blog. But I always wondered. I was always a little bit ambivalent about the topic myself. But I think that Bill Donaghy and Donnie McManus make a good case here. But that's not really my point. My point is that I resonate with this experience too, as someone who, first of all, my relationship with the human body has been pretty badly broken. But also, I mean, as is almost the case with everybody,
Everybody.
but
We are all raised in this pornographic culture, and it has
right.
warped the way we see things.
But something analogous has happened with me recently, which is that ballet has become a part of my life. I have a friend who's a dancer with the New York City Ballet, and so I've had the opportunity to start going to the ballet regularly, which is something I had never done before. And so when I'm sitting there, especially if it's good, if it's the choreography is good, it's kind of a deep experience. It's hard to put a lot of it into words, but I'm just finding myself challenged to see the human body, and particularly the female body, of course, in a new way.
Beautiful.
In a way it's a way that I can relate to because I'm an artist, I'm a musician, and so I have the experience of like disinterested contemplation, and so I actually have, this is a place where I can actually safely sort of try to exercise that, with the female body, because it's transformed when it's good. It's not that the ballet can't be, lewd ever, but when it's good, it's done in such a way that transforms it in a way and transfigures the relationship that we have with the body. And so, that's been a profound, I've only been a few times so far, but it's been a profound experience. And, I think that I'd like to keep going because I think that it will provide opportunity for healing for me, to continue to go and watch the ballet. So that's something that I really related to when they were talking about the experience of working with nude models, because I had a similar experience attending the ballet.
Thomas, thank you so much for sharing that from your heart. And as I said just a moment ago, we are all so wounded here. We have been raised in a pornographic culture, and the end goal of the pornographic culture is to blind us to the theology of our bodies. And here's a very, very important principle of Catholic cosmology. If we get this wrong, we get the whole universe wrong. Here it is. I like to put it this way. The devil does not have his own clay. All he can do is take God's clay. And God looked at the clay that he made and said, "Behold, it is very good." The devil gets his hands on that good clay and he twists it up, right? And here I'm speaking specifically of the human body. The enemy is after the human body precisely because the sexual difference tells this divine story. And he gets his hand on the human body and he twists it up and turns it into something pornographic. And we can be very tempted here to fall into what John Paul II calls the Manichaean loophole to the requirements of the gospel. Let me explain. Manichaeism is the heresy that says the devil has his own clay, right? When we believe that the physical world is evil and the spiritual world is good, spirit good, body bad, the body belongs to the devil, sex is the devil's realm, we are giving the devil his own clay. That is the Manichaean heresy in its essence. Put it this way. It is easier when we encounter that twisted up clay, it is easier to throw that out the window and try to live a spiritual life divorced from our bodies. That's much easier than it is to Allow Jesus to come into that twisted up clay and untwist it.
Yeah.
That's why John Paul II says Manichaeism, spirit good, body bad, may and might always be a loophole to avoid the requirements of the gospel. And you just shared with us, Thomas, a beautiful experience in your own life of the Lord untwisting the clay. Your
Yeah.
experience of the ballet is the experience of overcoming evil with good, right?
Right.
This is what St. Paul says. We overcome evil not by throwing the evil out the window or yelling at it or shaming it or scolding it. We overcome evil with good. And
Yeah.
that beautiful portrayal of the human body in ballet is healing that twisted portrayal of the human body that wounded you and wounded me, and in which this whole culture is immersed.
Right. And
This
what
is
you were
why,
just saying connects to Wojtyła's discussion of moral minimalism later, where he says you have to be following the positive precepts and not just the negative precepts of the gospel. You have to follow the Great Commandment and the Beatitudes, as well as
preach it, brother.
the Ten Commandments. But before we
Preach
get there,
it, brother.
there's something else I wanted to say about the ballet too, which is it's not just the experience of the human body taken in itself, but also ballet offers an opportunity to display eros in a non-pornographic way, and
Yes.
and eros it can be taken in the broad sense, but here I mean specifically between a man and a woman,
And a man and a woman,
the
yes.
masculine feminine dynamic, and there are moments when I'm there and I think that's a little bit too much, or they're going a little too far there in the choreography. So it's not that I'm not discerning or critical at any time, but that I am challenge, and sometimes it's uncomfortable, and sometimes you have to know, am I uncomfortable because this is bad or because I'm being taken out of my comfort zone? And
Yes.
so to see a man and a woman dancing together in moving in ways that are not impure, but we could say daring in a way that, it wouldn't necessarily in daily life be appropriate to dare, in this way. But that also is a part of it. So it really it's kind of like the perfect art form for the theology of the body,
Thomas,
in a way.
I just want to affirm you as a brother. You are on a beautiful journey here, and you're looking to tune your guitar. And when you're tuning a guitar to get to the right note, sometimes you go a little sharp, and then you go a little flat, and you're back and forth until you are in tune. Right, that's what
you have to be willing to risk. You have to be willing to risk the overshooting it. You have to be willing to take a shot to make it at all. And fix things as they need to be fixed as time goes on. You have to be able to risk mistakes.
Yeah. And to put into a biblical example to it, we could say this: that the drama of the Christian life is not in the safety of the boat; it's in keeping your eyes fixed on Christ and getting your butt out of the boat and doing the impossible, walking on water with your eyes fixed on Christ. Might we sink if we get out of the boat? Yeah, we might. But it's better to get out of the boat and sink than never to get out of the boat. This is so important. And we could also say it this way, that Christian purity must never be confused with Puritanism. And Puritanism is that fearful rejection of the body, whereas St. John Paul II says, purity is the glory of the human body before God. And then he goes on, he says, in fact, purity is the glory of God in the human body, through which masculinity and femininity are manifested.
Yeah.
What does Jesus say? He says, blessed are the pure of heart, for they shall see God. Where will we see God? We will see God precisely manifested in and through the human body. But here's the problem with impurity. With impurity, we look but do not see, as Jesus says. What is the gospel invitation? The gospel invitation is come and become one who sees. Purity expands our vision. It does not narrow our vision. It opens our eyes to the glory of God revealed through the human body. And you are
Right.
tasting that, Thomas, in your experience of the ballet. Certainly not perfectly, as you're admitting, but you're tasting it. And I can only say, keep going, brother. That's the journey. Discernment, absolutely. Examination, being critical, absolutely. But without fear, pressing forward to understand how God's beauty is manifested in the human body. And you're doing exactly what John Paul II is saying in the retreat. Taking that time and that laborious effort to understand what are we really looking for when we desire to behold the beauty of the human body. We're looking for the incarnation. That's what we're looking
Yeah.
for. At the source and summit of everything we believe as Catholics is the body of Christ, and dare I say, the naked body of Christ, given up for us on the cross, given to
Yeah.
us sacramentally in the Eucharist. This is the source and summit of our faith, everything we believe. We have to work through our fears here and let perfect love cast out fear. And let perfect love purify us of our impurities so that we can see the God who is beauty manifested in the fullness of time when God sent his Son, a male child born of a woman. It is always male and female together that reveal this mystery.